when you're working, it's a pretty simple structure. You show up, you do your job, and you go home. I feel like here, when things go wrong, what I've learned was to voice my opinion a lot on why does this happen? Why is this happening? Why is no one here yet? Why am I sitting for 1 hour on set doing nothing? I had to learn the hard way that if I just voice my opinion to one person and let them go handle everything and keep my mouth shut, usually almost always get what I want.
I remember when you were in Big Boss, I felt like that was your massive India jump. You became like a cultural icon in that phase and you've stayed there.
My goals were very different for being on that show. My goal was just to step one foot in the door, and whether I stayed for one day or a week or it ended up being 7 weeks, that was my goal. It wasn't anything more. There was no formula in my head that I have to go on the show and fight. When I watched the show before, I was thinking, I'm not this person who just fights with people.
Public event. But you know what? I'm blessed enough to be doing a podcast for a living and I get to have these conversations in front of you guys. Enjoy today's conversation with Sunny Leone.
Hi, how are you?
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
Sorry we made you wait this long to unleash the
It's
actual
okay.
TRS energy.
It's okay.
How's life been lately?
It's great. It's wonderful.
You want to expand on why it's great?
I love my life. I have a great family. I feel like my career's like doing pretty good, and everybody's healthy, so can't get any better than that.
Okay. Is Mumbai home for you now?
Yes,
Like in
it's
your
home.
heart?
Yes, I don't want to live anywhere else. Only here.
You wouldn't want to go back to Canada at any point?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Not to Canada or not to the US. No way.
Why do you say that?
I think that the US and Canada, or especially the US, is in a very not so great space right now, and I feel safer here and I feel happier here with my children and my family and my businesses than I think I ever would in the US.
Okay. This is what a lot of people from the film world say. Okay. You guys are just used to conversations where people are attacking you with questions and trying to get headlines out. Is that the case?
No, I don't think so. I think that people are inquisitive about many different things, and a lot of people have the same questions, which is totally fine. And it just depends on that journalist or reporter's energy. Sometimes you do the same interviews with the same questions, but it turns out completely different. So it just depends on who you're talking to.
Okay. Tell me about what you've been learning lately.
What I've been learning?
At this stage of life.
At this stage of life, learning that everything can change like within a second as far as your career goes or your family goes. Having 3 children is very challenging, so I'm learning from them every single day because as they change, I also have to change. It's not the other way around. Children don't change for you. You have to change for them. So that's really interesting. What else am I learning? I don't know how to have patience.
Okay. That's all you want to say?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. How have you changed for your children?
Everything changes, like every tiny little thing, like how you respond to how they do their work, or each of my children is completely different. They are nothing alike. So how they react to discipline or how they react to learning or how they want to engage with you versus when they need their space or when they need certain things. So every human being and every child is very, very different.
Okay.
It's the same as us. It's just that we have, I think, less patience for adults than we do for children. Children, we have patience for.
Okay. No, I hear you. Do you think motherhood is changing you as an actor or as a professional also? I'm coming from the perspective of fatherhood because I feel it's one of my personal goals. Like you have career goals and then you have life goals, and fatherhood is a big life goal for me, but I keep questioning how it's going to change how I go about my career. And
it just depends on your parenting style. So some people's parenting style is one way and some are another. Mine is more structured. Mine is more, as you have just noticed, probably a little type A personality. So everything in my world is structured. Everything is on a schedule. Everything is, planned out throughout my children's entire day. So I know from the morning until I got here, my children saw me. I got to spend time with them. I sat with them when they were at breakfast, or I helped them build their marble run this morning before I started makeup. So I know my schedule, and then I have to get into hair and makeup. And then I know that, once I'm there, if they need to come talk to me, they can. But now they're at a class. Then they will come home. Then they will have lunch. Then they'll have this. Then they have another class. So their entire day is scheduled like this. So then I know as a professional when I need to be home, when my work needs to end, when I need to make sure that time is given to my children, that we all know. and it's not like some sporadic schedule where they don't know when mommy's not coming, when mommy's coming home, when I'm not coming home. They understand that when I work, that it makes mommy a better person. So it just depends on your own parenting style when you have a child. If it's this free for all that happens a lot in Indian homes here, it causes its children are like it's like a psychological battle where for them, they understand you're home today. They don't understand why you're not home tomorrow. Now, if you don't have those conversations and that open conversation with your kids, then they get confused. It's like saying today you can light the candle, tomorrow you can light the candle, but on this day you cannot light it because I'm not in the mood. But what sense does that make?
Okay.
So it's all about, how you structure and communicate with your kids.
Just rubbing that type A personality into your kids.
Well, I think that children psychologically and emotionally thrive more on structure than they do on a non-structured home.
Yeah. I think what you see as a kid becomes your reality as an adult. So I think it's actually cool that you're rubbing the type A personality in.
Well, I want them to feel good, and when they're learning, they're absorbing as much information as possible. So when you have children that are tired, that sleep at 12 o'clock, they go to school all day, then they don't get a nap, then they're only being fed when they're cranky. So you're not helping them grow as individuals, I feel.
Okay. Not that I will ever mess with you, but I wouldn't want to ever mess with you. You come across as that kind of person.
Well,
does anyone ever cross a line with you? Does anyone piss you off? I'd like to know how you react.
It depends on who it is, really.
Yeah. In Mumbai, have you felt that with like all the chaos going on, like in the professional world here? I think it's just the nature of doing business in India, and it's also the beauty of it because a lot of work happens because of the chaos.
Yeah, the wheel's turning, but no one knows how.
What?
The wheel is turning, but no one knows
Okay.
how.
Right.
It just goes.
That's what you've noticed about Mumbai work culture, right?
Yeah.
As compared to America and Canada.
Yeah, there it's more black and white.
As in?
Like black and white. There is no in the middle gray area.
Okay.
So here there's a gray area
Okay.
where sab kuch chalta hai.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but we also have 13-year-olds watching this. So I'd love for you to simplify what you just said. And I'll tell you why. Because we had the foreign minister of India on the show recently. And he said how it's very important for a lot of Indians abroad to come back, but also Indians here to go out there and understand work culture abroad. And I feel it's two very different things.
Yeah.
And there's very few people who've got success in both places. That's
Yeah.
also because of your type A personality. But I'm sure there's a lot of nuanced learning. So
Right, of
exactly what you said about black and white and the wheel turning, just break that down a little bit. And I ask you this because I respect the fact that you've maintained your relevance. That's one of the most difficult things to do in a career that includes fame. You've maintained it for so long. So you've been doing a lot of things correct. What's been happening?
Well-
Non-journalist question.
I think that when you're working, it's a pretty simple structure. You show up, you do your job, and you go home. And when I feel like here, when things go wrong, what I've learned compared to the beginning of my career here was to voice my opinion a lot on why does this happen? Why is this happening? Why is no one here yet? Why am I sitting for 1 hour on set doing nothing? Why am I, why is the script a certain way and then all of a sudden now you're changing it? These things don't make sense to me. Or if you've discussed one thing in a scene, why is it changing all of a sudden to something completely different? Like it didn't make sense to me. The script was a script in my head. A story was a story. So in that way, I had to learn the hard way that if I just voice my opinion to one person and let them go handle everything and keep my mouth shut, I'll usually almost always get what I want, which is the same thing that they want. It's just being put across as something different.
Right.
So maybe there's like some language barriers there. I'm not talking about actual language. I mean, just in how we
Cultural barriers.
Yeah, like communicate. So they want the same thing I do, but we have to come to some common ground without arguing. And that's, was something that was very interesting to learn. Or how the entire set with 150 people there, half of them not wearing shoes or electrical equipment, or why things are not taped down on the floor, like simple things like that. Or here a lot of business is done on feeling, emotions, where maybe it's changing a little bit now, but they would do things more on emotion than on facts.
Okay.
Like numbers, facts, like, when you're looking at someone's popularity or you're looking at analytics of who somebody is, where now we're learning back that maintaining a certain level of relationships, which is not something that I'm always good at, or Daniel, because we're so like black and white, let's keep going, let's keep working, is something that definitely needs to be done here. So India functions a lot on emotions, where in the US, everything's black and white. You show up, you do your job, and you go home. And that's, as simple as it gets.
And you're still enjoying all this more? Like the emotional.
Yeah, I love it.
intuitive-
I think that India is one of the most amazing emerging markets in the world. I think that everything that happens here is like, it's unbelievable.
Okay.
And it's unbelievable to watch.
A lot of people who understand your world and who are studying your journey know about like your whole entrepreneurial side. There's a lot of people who don't as well and are getting to learn about this new version of you. You've actually made a lot of people a lot of money. Like that's
I know.
the chatter that came up about you when I was like researching for this episode. That there's a lot of gaming companies
Yeah.
that actually rely on you as like the main bet in order to become profitable. That
Yeah.
says a lot about like professional prowess.
Yeah, I should ask for more money.
You should.
I'm just kidding. I'm happy with all the agreements I have with everyone.
Yeah, you're very well spoken. I think, and I think that actually is like your X factor. Are you aware of that? That happens with like American and Canadian education. I think you guys are just trained way better in communication skills.
So I learned all my communication skills after the age of it was like 16, 17 is when I really started learning about communication skills through school or I started working at 15 and a half. And I have worked almost every single job you can think of in the US. I've worked there. So that's where it started. And then I really started learning interviews and like how to give them, different personalities, a lot after 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to expand on this thought?
Oh, when I worked in the adult entertainment industry, I did so many different interviews across the entire world and country. And when I mean interviews, there's press days you have for, let's say, a film, like someone super famous you can think of here who does an entire press day for a film. It's the beginning of it. So it's the entire day. So the same thing would happen there, where we would do big radio trails and interviews and TV interviews and all that. So that's where it really started. So a lot of my mistakes of speaking or how to communicate, they all happened then. It was like boot camp for Bollywood.
What mistakes did you make?
Just the way that you speak, when you listen back on conversations you have, you're like, why was I saying, I probably do it now. Now I'm saying, So,
No. You're pretty like straightforward and smooth with like the way you talk.
So
now.
then all those little things,
Okay.
kind of disappear after you watch yourself a few times.
Does it piss you off that journalists take your conversations to that whole phase of your life?
No, I don't care. It is not the question that might be an issue. It's the manner in which the question is asked. So if the same question is asked 10 times and one person asks it with
I'm better
an
than you.
opinion already formed,
Mm.
they've already judged me. They've already put me in this box that they hold me in without being unbiased. Then yes, it's going to come across as being rude or, not so nice.
Okay. What's the angriest you've gotten in India in one of these interactions?
I don't really get that angry in
Really?
interactions. No.
There's no anger in you?
If there is in it, you would never know it.
Like you'll just be able to hide it?
Absolutely. It's not my job to let you I'm not going to let you get the better of me.
I don't intend on
No,
getting
I'm
the
just
better.
like it could
Got
be
it.
anyone. It could be anyone giving an interview. Why would I give you that satisfaction?
Okay.
So I don't know. I believe in that.
Okay.
Whatever karma is, we'll get them later.
Leaving it to the universe.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. That whole phase of your life when you were an adult star, behind the scenes, in terms of the life you're living, when you're sleeping at night, when you're waking up, I'm 100% sure there's a lot of learnings along the way as well.
Yeah, of course.
What were those learnings like? For example, if you ask me about the behind the scenes learning of YouTubing, my big learning has been that people can forget you like that.
Hmm.
Like you'll be flying one day and the next day you'll be out. Fame is one of those things where you have to keep adding fuel to the fire. And the day you even take a break, people begin to forget you. And it's such a harsh reality that you only learn on the job. I want to learn about your harsh realities from that phase.
Harsh realities? I don't know. I mean, I don't really look at my career as like, I don't like take those harsh realities and go, okay, now I need to harbor on them at all. Even this, so I believe in the opposite of what you just said. I think that if you are someone in business or you're someone who is, YouTuber, influencer, you have a personality based, I guess, I don't want to say website, but you have a personality based.
You're
Work.
just selling your face.
Yeah.
and your
You're selling
mind.
yourself. You're
Yeah.
selling this podcast. This is
Yeah.
all you,
Yeah.
right? It's about consistency. So that consistency, as long as you are voicing whatever your opinions are, then those followers are going to stay with you. I'm not talking about the follower that just comes for the day and then leaves. I'm talking about your hardcore followers, the ones that always stay with you. And that steadily grows as you continue with your business. Because if you're not evolving in your business, then that's a problem. If you do the same thing over and over again, that's a problem. But you as a personality, they will follow because they like you. So even when learning in that time, building a website, building my own HTML program, building my own affiliate program, learning, not building my own HTML program, learning at HTML, learning how to edit photos, learning how to edit video, I had notebooks of, all these different things where I was learning how to do it all. I did everything from A to Z, and everything from editing to all of it. So in that, and then once that was done, then learning how to market it, and then learning how to get, other affiliates to send traffic to my websites, or, all of that. So everything was a learning process, and a lot of it wasn't easy, and I had no money. Or like barely breaking even, but I refused to give it to somebody else to run, because giving somebody 50% of me didn't make sense to me at all.
And you must have been like 18 or 19 at this
I
point.
started at, I was like 19.
Damn.
So that's when it started.
Were you really good at school?
No, I wasn't. I was a C student.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it pissed my parents off a lot.
I would assume that this whole type A personality just extended in that direction and this direction.
I grew up in a very not so easy household, where it was easy for me to keep learning. We were more focused on the emotional things that were happening in our house. So I don't think that it was a conducive place for really excelling. My brother, though, is extremely smart. He's like the kid that is a forever student.
Okay.
We all know one of those in our friends circle,
Right.
who's a forever student that's always learning. That's my brother. And I was the complete opposite. But I started working and making money when I was, 6 years old.
Really?
So not a lot of money. I'm talking about money for candy,
Okay,
or money,
okay.
but it was creating the plan was always my idea. So whether it was selling something door to door, whether it was selling lemonade, whether it was shoveling snow, on the driveway after a snowstorm, which was huge money, because we would spend all day shoveling, our neighbors' driveways for not a lot of money. But at that time, it was a lot of money for me.
Okay.
So I was always that girl.
Okay. All right. Did you make a lot of money between age 18 and 25? Because that's the assumption.
Yeah, of
You
course.
did?
I mean, for myself, I think that what happened after a certain amount of time, I was making a lot of money, and then I started investing everything into my business. And once I started investing everything into my business,
Which was your
things
personal
changed.
brand?
Which was a production house, my own website, this affiliate program. We talked about hiring the right people for design work and all this stuff. So all those things cost money.
Okay.
So when my husband and I, he was my boyfriend at the time, started our own production house, we had negative money. We had nothing. Negative meaning he took a loan on a credit card to start, and that's it. The rest is history.
Applying the Desi brains and Jewish brains together
Yeah.
to figure out how to multiply the money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
He's a very good businessman. So
Yeah, that's the energy you guys give off as a couple. I've only met you very briefly, and I purposely didn't speak too much because I wanted to have this interaction with you here. There was a part of me that always knew I'll end up speaking to you in the studio at some point. So this is not the end of the podcast, but I was really looking forward to speaking to you. I feel you have a lot of stories and a lot of anecdotes and experiences which you're never asked about.
yeah.
And I intend on doing some of it today. I want to ask you about what the best and worst aspect of your life was during your adult film career.
During the best part was I worked with the best of the best companies. This idea of having business and street smarts really helped me out. And for me, it was, you really don't need your whole brain to figure out how this all functions. And I just stuck with it and just was very consistent.
As in, intuition used to kick in and used to make your decisions through intuition.
Yeah.
Okay. Like what? Like if you don't like someone, you won't work with them.
No, not just intuitions, but also it all had to come down to just facts about the company or facts about how things work. I read every single contract. I corrected every single contract so that it would work in my favor. And the companies that I worked with, they would get what they wanted. I also got what I wanted.
Okay.
So it was never a situation where I was being taken advantage of.
Okay. What was the worst aspect of it?
The worst aspect of it, maybe seeing like some of the other girls' success and how fast it worked, and I had to work maybe harder because I worked at a very slow pace and I wasn't into what, some of the things that were happening around me, or that wasn't the step that I wanted to take at that moment. And then sitting going, okay, now I gotta, work a little bit harder. But that's my entire life always. I've always had to work twice as hard or three